Hey guys, how's it going? In my last video about kitchen design mistakes, I covered topics like the dreaded sticking out fridge, why low cabinets suck, and the use of crazy colors. You guys really liked that video, so today we're going to be looking at other bad things that you may inadvertently be doing to your kitchen. Oh, and for those of you who are interested, there is a quick life update at the end of the video. So yeah, let's get started. Over the past few years, I've been noticing a growing trend of upper cabinets completely disappearing in kitchens in favor of airy, minimalistic paired back spaces, often decorated with bold statement stones. While this is beautiful and looks great in photos, it's not always the most practical solution. Sacrificing upper cabinets is fine if you have a large footprint kitchen, but every time I see someone on social media tearing out a huge chunk of what is their only kitchen storage, I cringe. This is a trend that was set by photos of kitchens belonging to the ultra-wealthy. What you don't always necessarily see in the pictures is that they have a ton of extra space, like a butler's pantry or an entire wall of cabinetry just off camera, or even a secondary kitchen altogether where they store all their things. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I think it's a terrible mistake to remove upper cabinet storage if you have an already small kitchen. The no cabinet look does help to make kitchens look much larger and airier feeling, of course, and your lifestyle may allow you to live with less storage space. If it works for you, that's great, but just know that if you ever want to sell your home, most buyers aren't going to appreciate having less storage. All they're going to see is them needing to open their wallet to buy cabinets, which means you ultimately getting a lower offer on your property. If you absolutely must tear out your cabinets, then at least for the love of God, save them and put them back in before you sell, or tell prospective buyers that the cabinets are still available and offer to rehang them before closing the deal. One thing you can do to minimize the look of your upper cabinets is what designer Barbara Salick did in this photo. She painted her uppers the same color as the backsplash, ceiling, and trim, so that the upper cabinetry blends into everything else. And then she painted the lowers a contrasting color, which takes attention away from the uppers. Bold and trendy backsplashes look fun, fresh, colorful, and contemporary. I love a good bold tile in someone else's kitchen. I'm always very wary of anything too colorful or too trendy when it comes to tiled backsplashes and surfaces. While some may say that redoing a backsplash isn't a big deal, I would actually tend to disagree. For some people, it is a very big deal to do any sort of work in the home. Ripping out a backsplash, tracking down a decent tile person, and paying for a bunch of work isn't something that many people have on the top of their list of things that they want to deal with. I recommend you keep your backsplash tiles classy and timeless. But Viv, what are timeless backsplash tiles? Subway tiles are a classic and timeless choice for the kitchen. If you install tiles and you can't tell whether they were installed last week or last century, that's pretty timeless. Don't believe me? Here's a picture of a 110-year-old kitchen which uses subway tiles. I can already hear many of you saying,
"Subway tiles are also a trend."
Yes, that is also true. Subway tile is timeless, but it also happens to have been trending for the past several years. It may trend less in the coming years, but it will always be timeless. If your tiling decisions are keeping you up at night, then you might need some help from today's sponsor, BetterHelp, the world's largest online therapy platform. Are your decorating decisions taking a toll on your well-being, or do you maybe deal with actual real problems like a normal person? Well, either way, you should consider getting some BetterHelp, an easy and accessible form of online therapy. If, like me in the past, you've considered getting therapy, but the whole process just seems way too daunting, then BetterHelp might be exactly what you've been waiting for. You don't have to search for hours online for the perfect therapist. You just fill out a questionnaire, and based on your needs and within 48 hours or sooner, you get matched up with one of BetterHelp's 30,000 therapists. If you don't click with the therapist that you're matched with, it's no problem. You can get matched with another one at no additional cost with no awkwardness whatsoever. I also love that you can talk to your therapist from the comfort of your own home. You can have your sessions over the phone, via video chat, or even via messaging. You can choose the method that suits you best. If you're interested, then I invite you to use my link betterhelp.com/poshpennies. You'll get 10% off your first month, plus you're helping to support this channel. You deserve to be happy, so I hope you'll join me and over 4 million people who've used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. Thanks again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Everybody wants an island because they're great. They provide a multi-purpose space that everyone in the household can use. They use up floor space that could otherwise go to waste. They provide extra storage, more surface for cooking and prepping. There's literally nothing bad you can say about kitchen islands. That's why when people have kitchens that are so big that they risk getting lost in them, they install 2 islands. And that's why if you have a kitchen that's too small for an island, it's crucial to know when to surrender to spatial constraints and deny yourself the pleasure of a comically tiny kitchen island. For example, take this kitchen. Now keep in mind this isn't a real space, it's a 3D render that I found on a kitchen design website. This is a kitchen island that's too small and isn't well proportioned to the kitchen that it's in. There's no reason why they couldn't have tripled this island in size to make much better use of the space. The minimum island size is 2 feet by 4 feet, but what you really need to consider is the clearance around an island if you're thinking about putting one in. The industry standard is minimum 3 feet on every side of an island, ideally 4 feet, so that there's room for cabinets and appliance doors to open without hitting the island. If you have a tiny kitchen, but you really need that extra prep space, then the best thing you can do is to use a freestanding island, which is basically a cart on wheels. You can pull it out when you need it and push it away when you don't. But building a tiny 2x2 island looks weird, and it isn't going to be all that functional, and to be honest, isn't worth the expense. Time for some trash talk. If your garbage setup is permanently on display, it's not doing your kitchen any favors. A bin of literal trash out in the open is not cute. My unsolicited advice is to store it under your sink. And if you're remodeling your kitchen, please install pull-out bin drawers because they are a game changer. Now, when it comes to compost bins, while researching for this video, I was astonished to see how many people keep an open compost on their counters. Sure, they say they empty it daily, but still, I recommend you stick your compost in the freezer or stash it in a sealed container under the sink. Now, if you're a fan of freestanding garbage bins or counter composting, I'm genuinely curious. Please tell me why you think it's better because I would sincerely love to know. For me, this is one of those cases where form wins over function. I mean, sure, it may be more functional to have it out, but I also don't want to be looking at a garbage bin every time I walk into the kitchen. When it comes to kitchen flooring, there's this common idea that tile is the only way to go because it's tough and water resistant. So you end up seeing a lot of situations like this, where you've got these transitions. You absolutely don't have to use tile in the kitchen if you don't want to. Sure, tile works well, but so do hardwood floors, good quality laminates, and luxury vinyl plank, LVP. These other types of floors can look fantastic and they hold up just fine if you take care of them. Okay, so basically what am I saying? I'm saying you should use tiles in your kitchen because you want to and not because you feel you have to. As a side note, I'm not a fan of having too many different flooring types in a home as it can quickly feel chaotic and disjointed. As a general tip, if you're picking floors for your home, try to keep your choices to 2 or at most 3. This will really help to create a more cohesive and harmonious design throughout your space. If you're remodeling your kitchen or doing a new build, I would definitely recommend considering paneled appliances. Paneled or integrated appliances refer to kitchen appliances such as fridges and dishwashers that are designed to blend seamlessly with the surrounding cabinetry. Instead of having the standard stainless steel or colored exterior, these appliances are outfitted with panels that match the rest of your kitchen cabinets, creating a cohesive and streamlined look. It hides unsightly gaps and keeps everything flush with the cabinetry, so it creates a more harmonious and visually appealing space. People in Europe have been doing integrated appliances in their kitchen kitchens for years. It's not considered a luxury, it's just better design. For example, my grandmother's apartment in Italy had paneled appliances installed over 30 years ago. Panel-ready appliances generally cost more, and there are additional labor and material costs involved. And if you're like me, it probably pains you to spend extra money on stuff just for the sake of making it look nicer. So naturally, I looked up whether there is a way to get the paneled look at a lower price. I am Posh Pennies after all. And I have good news. If you're willing to do the work, you can convert a lot of regular appliances to be paneled with some DIY savviness. I found an amazing video by the Merrythought, which I will link for you below. It's what we're looking at right now, where Amanda explains how she and her husband Mike converted their discounted, dinged-up Whirlpool fridge and freezer into a stunning paneled appliance. She also did the same thing with her dishwasher. Full disclosure, I have not done this personally myself, although I may or may not be roping my husband into helping me do this soon. So if you want the paneled appliance look at a fraction of the cost, definitely go check out the Merrythought, and don't forget to give them a like and a follow. When it comes to faucets, I think if you're doing a quick refresh or you're on a really tight budget, then sure, go for a budget Amazon faucet. But if you're doing a serious kitchen reno, then you're going to want to invest in a high quality faucet. One of the biggest injustices you can do to your fresh, new, beautiful kitchen is to install a super basic builder grade faucet. What you should do is take the time to find a faucet that not only functions well, but also adds to the overall aesthetic of your kitchen. Obviously, you'll want to make sure that your new faucet coordinates with all the other fixtures in your kitchen. And you'll want to consider the size of your faucet, and when it comes to functionality, think about your preferences. Things like single handle versus double handle faucets, pull down sprayers and how far they reach, features like temperature control, or whether you want a touch-free tap or a built-in soap dispenser. These are just some of the things that you should be thinking about. So, life update. If you're a regular around here, then you may have noticed that I took a bit of a longer break after my last video. In all honesty, I've had some pretty difficult things going on in my life lately, and they were really draining my energy and making me pretty anxious, so content creation took a bit of a backseat while that was going on. Because I just didn't feel like I was in the right place physically or mentally to make videos. Things are better now though, and I'm okay, and I just really wanted to thank those of you who have been consistently sticking around over the years and supporting my channel. I know I don't upload super regularly, even under normal circumstances, so I really appreciate those of you who kind of just accept the channel for how it is. Anyways, that's all. If you want to see more kitchen design mistake videos, then I will link some more for you in the description, and also check out the sponsor linked in the description. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!